Good afternoon, or good morning as it is in my head. I'm Julian Willows, General Manager for CSR Racing 2. Our team is based in London, and it's really lovely to be here. This is our 1-year anniversary. We launched CSR Racing on June the 30th, 2016. The game had been in soft launch for a while, and we had some encouraging soft launch metrics. It performed really quite well in the soft launch geos. We had some good UA assets, the marketing plan looked really good, and so we felt pretty confident about going into worldwide launch. I remember we all sat in the studio and pushed the button together, and then kind of looked at the graphs expectantly on the telemetry boards, and kind of nothing happened for about 3 minutes. And then the graph started going up and to the right. I think I need a clicker. Is there a clicker somewhere? Is this the clicker?
That's the clicker.
Press the green button. Great. The graph started going up and to the right, and the game outperformed our expectations very quickly. We became the #1 racing game in 126 countries very, very quickly. It peaked in the top 10 grossing, and today actually remains the #1 racing game in about 50 countries worldwide. It really, really did outperform everything that we thought it would do as game players as well as game makers. I think the thing that we were equally proud of is that the fans loved it, both fans of the original game and also new fans that we brought to the racing genre. To date, we've had over 1 million 5-star reviews. It is one of the only games in the top 50 grossing with a 5-star rating, and I think it's testament to the approach the team took and we took when we developed the game, that we put the consumers first and foremost in our minds when developing the game. And it's still 5-star rated in about 50 countries worldwide, including the UK and the US. There's like a meditation app that's 5-star rated as well, so we sit in like a zen-like place with that meditation app. And at the end of 2016, we were super proud to be nominated as one of Google's best games of the year, which kind of capped what was a great first 6 months for the title. And so I guess the question we asked ourselves, both at the time and also we continue to ask ourselves, and it's a question that most of us working in mobile ask, is can you engineer success? Can you actually create the correct conditions for your game to be wildly successful? And whilst I don't think there's a formula per se, I certainly think you can stack the deck in your favour, and this is something that we as a team believe, that there are ways of creating a more likely environment in which your game is going to be successful. And so over the next 15 minutes, if you'll bear with me, we'll talk through how we did that and our experiences on CSR Racing 2. So I think the first thing we had is a really clear aspiration from the very beginning. We wanted to be #1 in racing. #1 in racing, not because we said we were #1 in racing, but because our gamers said we were. They would tell us we were #1 in racing because they would download the game and play it. We would be #1 in racing because they'd earn some money. Obviously in the free-to-play business, it's quite important people actually elect to put their hands in their pocket and give you some of their cash, which is obviously how you know you're doing a good job when they're enjoying the content you create. And #1 because our fans reviewed it well and gave us a great rating. And obviously that 5-star rating is something we hold really dear, because after 12 months in worldwide launch to maintain that means we're doing something right in live operations. We also had to do something worthy of this. This is a screenshot from the original CSR Racing. Funnily enough, and it wasn't by design, it launched nearly 4 years to the day before we launched CSR Racing 2 on June the 28th, 2012. And Boss Alien and Natural Motion, they brought this amazing, bold graphic style to mobile. It had real attitude, a lovely narrative, and a mobile-first design ethos, which just propelled the game to wild success. Most people here have either experienced it or played it to some degree, but if you haven't, I'll explain anyway. It threw away steering. It brought drag racing bang up to date with AAA production values, amazing assets, amazing environments, beautiful cars, and a really simple gameplay loop. You had to try and get your perfect start, and then through the race you shift when the light goes green, you can press a nitrous button to give yourself a boost, and ideally you win and earn some money. And that's kind of it. It captures the spirit of drag racing beautifully. It's a little adrenaline rush, and after that you can then invest and buy another car or upgrade your car, and back you go into the race. It's simple, it's very direct, and it was highly effective. To date, the game's been downloaded now over 144 million times, which I'm sure the geographers in the room room will realize is more than the population of Russia, or approximately 2% of the world's population. And 10.5 billion miles have been driven in the game, which the astronomers in the room will recognize is the same as flying to Pluto and back 4 times. And the racing drivers will realize is 819 million laps of the Nürburgring. So it's a lot of racing. The game was not without its limitations, though, and this is something Boss Alien and Natural Motion recognized. It didn't have deep social integration or cruise. It certainly didn't have an Elder game. When the game launched, it could be completed and finished. And it didn't have an events harness or an events framework. You could play the game, get to the end of the 5 tiers, and that was the experience done. And it wasn't really built for live operations or events. And so there were things that needed to be improved. So when we started to think about CSR Racing 2, the first thing we did is use all of that knowledge from CSR Racing 1, all of the qualitative data we had from fans, all the quantitative data that Boss Alien and Natural Motion have built up over the 4 years. And it's worth calling out that over that 4-year period of live operations, Boss Alien and Natural Motion did an enormous amount to make the game events-focused, multiplayer-focused, adding asynchronous multiplayer, and to significantly improve it in market. And we also added selective features to CSR Racing 2 that we believe would evolve the brand and deal with some of those shortcomings of the original game, and actually create something that warranted a sequel. You know, the first game was a real inspiration for us, and we wanted to make sure that to put a 2 against the name, the game warranted being its own thing in the marketplace. From a positioning point of view as well, I mean, I showed you that slide earlier, that amazing graphic image from the original game. And from a positioning point of view, we really wanted this game to stand alone and be different. Rather than it being very graphic focused and very cartoony, we wanted CSR Racing 2 to lean much more heavily into authenticity and real car comparison. We wanted this to be the type of game that would appeal to fans of Chris Harris, Top Gear, the Grand Tour, all of the magazines that we like reading, Evo magazine. There are numerous North American equivalents of Evo that lean into the tuning culture and the supercar collection culture, and to make this a game that really captured a much broader audience, a more authentic audience of car fans around the world. This movie that we created last year really captures the spirit that we want to go for, that this is an authentic drag racing experience and about comparing real cars against each other. Which is faster? You know, is it the Audi, is it the Huracan, is it the Porsche 918, is it the LaFerrari? So we started to blur the lines between fiction and the game to really create something that lent into car comparison, to collection. And off that basic foundation, our designers started to work on the vision for the game. And the vision for the game was actually relatively straightforward. We started with this. This magic circle is the core loop from the original CSR Racing. You race, you win some cash or some gold, you use that to upgrade your car or to buy new rides, you race again, and so it continues through the game. It's really straightforward. This is the DNA of our franchise. And one thing we didn't want to do is mess around with this. We felt this was really special. This is the CSR special sauce. We talked about lots of different things we could do, actually, whether we'd include drifting or lane changing or cop chases, all of which are valid ideas in and of themselves. But actually we felt that this needed to be preserved. But we wanted to improve every single step, to improve the race experience, to improve the win experience so it was more rewarding, and there were more ways to invest in the game, and the upgrade experience so it was a much deeper game than the original game. We also wanted to add lots of things around it, and this is a slide that goes back to late 2014 to an internal presentation we did to stakeholders within Zynga and Natural Motion, and it kind of speaks for itself, right? It's that original core loop, race, earn money, and improve, with synchronous multiplayer and crews and perks, a multi-car garage to encourage ownership, tuning and fusing to have a much deeper relationship with your cars and extend the amount of time you can play with them. Customization and sharing to allow players to really personalize those cars. Events, so there's always something new to do on a daily and weekly basis, something to work towards and engage with. Gacha, and then AAA production values. And this is a screenshot from the game today, and it speaks to this, right? In the original game, you had one car in a garage, and it was a simple car asset. It was very much a game model. Now you've got a garage of hypercars, your dream garage of cars, whether it's a Bugatti or a Lambo or a McLaren. You can collect these amazing collections of cars and curate them to create garages of American cars or Italian cars. And as you collect more cars in the game, you can extend your garages. The average CSR2 player has 16 cars in their garage. That's the average player. Our most prolific collector has 1,485 cars in his collection. So it's a game that really leans into collection. It's an aspiration most of us can only dream of, right? I mean, if we had one of those cars, that would be amazing, let alone 1,485 of them. Beyond that, we really wanted to lean into the sense that these were real physical assets. I think too many games create, just game objects that you can purchase, but we wanted to create this idea they were digital collectibles. These were real tangible objects, and this is one of our game assets blown up. You can go inside the cars, or the interiors are built, the engine bays, the bonnets, in exquisite detail. I mean, our car team are just phenomenal, and it really takes these beyond the point where they're game models. They are digital collectible items that people covet and cherish and love. And when they can customize them by adding liveries and body zones and paint colors, wheel caliper colors and interior colors, you suddenly get this, which is players creating cars that they cherish and adore, whether they add camo wraps to a Bentley, or whether they add green paints or different colored interiors. The wealth of options is enormous. There's about 1 million different customization options throughout the game. If you look at all the different combinations of colours and wraps, so people can really lean into personalisation. And these are all images from our fans they've shared on our Facebook pages, and obviously our fans share them within their own private social channels as well. Beyond that, the original game had a limitation that you could only really get each of the cars to a fixed PP once you'd upgraded it all the way, its performance potential was maxed. And we wanted to allow players to really tune their cars, to kind of have that aspiration and that fantasy of being a car tuner. And so you can tune the nitrous and the final drive and the tyre pressure to eke even more performance out of your cars. And combined with our fusion parts system, which is where you can collect fusion parts from Gacha by winning races and blend those into your cars, it creates a much deeper experience where it's much harder to get the cars to the maximum potential, and therefore a longer experience for our players. And it's something they really love, and you see this on our social channels and in WhatsApp groups. People are sharing fusion configurations and trying to work out exactly how to tune the cars to get the most from them. And then the race experience itself, our team now looks more like a console team when we talk about the game experience itself. Most of our development team have worked on one of the major racing brands in the world before CSR Racing, and it shows. We create console quality graphics, whether it's the car shaders, the lighting, the HDR, the wheel blur, the motion blur, the environments, the car assets themselves. We follow console quality and hopefully lead in many areas that level of execution on mobile, including things like the race graphics, which you can see at the bottom of the screen, which obviously move not only the visuals on, but the gameplay on from the original game. And then we talked about social. All of us who are playing games these days, whether they're console or mobile games, really believe in a social experience, connecting with other people all around the world. And in CSR Racing 2, we added a whole crews feature where you can collaborate with other groups of people in a crew of up to 30 players, where you can race together in the crew championship, chat, communicate, share tips and tricks, and form a crew. And obviously, as we go through our live operations process, we continue to lean into that and to further develop the crew system. I think it's testament to the work of our design team, who I'm super proud of, that these marketing assets that I'm going to show you actually really represent that original design vision of the game. These are the marketing assets that were in the App Store when we launched. We were building on the #1 drag racing series, adding next-gen customization and real-time racing, upgrading and tuning, and crew battles to this, that beautiful, simple CSR Racing core loop, but improved at every single step. And this was a super deliberate process. We've kind of skip through it very quickly, but you race, you win, you upgrade, but now you do it with a deep social structure, an elder game, and events. And that really is how we viewed engineering success. So with 5 minutes to go, we could kind of finish there, but I think actually the more interesting part of all of this is how we did this with our culture, our people, and our partnerships, because this is actually the other 50% of the effort. This is the wonderful group of people in London. They represent every continent on planet Earth, including Antarctica. For those of you who understand that that's actually impossible, feel free to come and ask me afterwards how we've got an Antarctican on the development team. But they represent 13 countries and a whole diverse range of thinking and skill sets. It really has been a global endeavor. It's been an endeavor where we brought all these people together. We've partnered with our friends at Zynga in San Francisco, as well as studios around Asia who build a lot of our car assets. And we're very, very proud of the way this team has worked together to deliver the sequel. Equally, we're very proud of the way our team has worked with our partners. Here's Kato-san from Liberty Walk. The tuners amongst you may have heard of Liberty Walk. They're an amazing Japanese tuning company. They do spectacular work with Lambos and McLarens. I mean, it really is absolutely gorgeous the work this man does. And he's a total character. And those partnerships have led to a whole range of exclusives. We continue to pursue these, and we'll continue to pursue these through this year by developing deep and authentic relationships with our manufacturers, whether it's Ferrari, Bugatti, McLaren, Koenigsegg, Ford, Porsche, Pagani. Have I missed anyone out? No, that's it. And so this is a celebration, right? This is our 1 year anniversary. It's 1 year together with Koenigsegg. We've been working with those guys for a long time. And we've made new friends this year with Porsche, hooray! Bringing them to mobile. And, long may it continue. And obviously more recently with Universal in the Fast and the Furious franchise. So we'll finish on a few stats. In CSR racing so far over the past year, people have raced 2.6 billion miles, which is 106,000 times around the Earth. And for those of you who've been paying attention, to Pluto and back once so far. And a lot of races have been completed. We have a very, very highly engaged player base who love what we do, who are happy to give us feedback and to support us and to help shape their game, because it is their game, right? It's, we hand it over to them when we go into worldwide launch, and after that, we're servicing their needs and what they want. And to do that, we have a very, very clean and simple mission, which we believe in to the bottom of our hearts, actually. We are in the life enrichment business, which sounds a little bit Black Mesa, I realise, but actually we are. We're out there to make people's lives a little bit better, to make them a little bit happier, to give them something really fun to do on a day-to-day basis. Moments of distraction, or indeed deep and engaging experiences for extended periods of time. It's been our experience that we do actually create really strong social connections and friendships by people all around the globe. Who share what we share, which is a passion for cars. Every day that we get up, we bring that passion to work, and we hope our players enjoy experiencing it. We are Natural Motion. We make lots of stuff, but we make racing games. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that was somewhat informative, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference. Thank you.